JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.
Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, jctickets.net, Geico Insurance, Dunaway Furniture, Ocean City Golf Club, RussellStreetReport.com, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Holiday Inn Express, the original Green Turtle, hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
And welcome back in. It is the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap Show right here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio 93.5 The Beach. We are broadcasting from the Ravens Room at the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, 127th Street and Coastal Highway at Ocean City with Ravens Roost 44. Give yourselves a hand. 44! And of course, we invite all Ravens fans across Delmarva down for the show just about every Wednesday. Doors open at 5 with food and Bud Light specials. The show starts at 7, and we've got a lot of great giveaways, including Ravens tickets, courtesy of our friends at jctickets.net. Mike Bradley, John Gehrig, Papo, Steve Pappas, and Bruce Laird all on the panel this week. Welcome back, guys. Good to be here. Now, if the season were to end today, the Ravens at 6-6 would qualify for the playoffs as the second wild card and would play the third-seeded Indianapolis Colts, 8-4 in the opening round of the postseason. Still a lot of football to be played, though. But that said, again, we put ourselves in a driver's seat. John, you've talked about it. This is a team that is coming into December. They're ready to roll. And that Super Bowl teams, that's usually when it happens. Just like the NCAA tournament in college basketball, it's towards the end of the regular season, then they get into the tournament, and it's those teams that get on a roll, the hot teams, not necessarily the best teams, but the hot teams that go on to win it. And ironically, last year we won it and had a weak December, but John Harbaugh coached teams traditionally do very well in December. But guys, I wanted to talk about the Wildcat that was run back in the Jets game, and as that parlays to the Steelers game. I think a lot of fans are thinking with the Wildcat that was run, or maybe people are thinking that was run because the passing game is inept. In my mind, it was because the Wildcat was run in that Jets game because we knew coming in against the #1 rush defense that there were other ways that we had to move the ball. We weren't just going to line up and beat them mano-a-mano. Now, after the game, though, of course, Joe Flacco gets asked, he doesn't like it, calls it a high school offense because it takes the ball out of his hand. But that was really used, in my mind, not for the passing game. It was used, not that you can't do stuff off of that, but it was used to open up the running game against the Jets. So this whole thing gets misconstrued. He gets asked about it. But the bottom line, I think, certainly, Bruce, it did light a fire under him because he played a very good game against the Steelers. They didn't run any Wildcat, but that was run not really for the passing game. It was run for the running game against the Jets.
Whether it was run for that, Mike, you could very well be right.
Yeah, it's just my take.
But again, remember, this is a week that they got all ready for Jet football, okay? So they knew they were putting it in. And once you do that, this is the kind of conversation when you become a professional football player. You work with your coaching staff, your coordinators, and you give input. You give input on all kinds of things. You run a defense called, but then there's times when I'll go, listen, I'm looking here. I want to play hard outside. You got a problem with that? You run, no, we don't. Because all these things have nuances, as you know. Every play has a play within a play within a play. My take on this, Mike, was when he did it, Joe went, this is BS. I don't like it. I'll do it, but this is what I'm going to do. Exactly what I'm going to go over there. And if that's what we need to do, instead of working hard on the basics, instead of working hard every day to make sure our receivers catch the ball, to make sure they run the right routes, to make sure we can block a 5-man front, make sure you can give me time to throw the football, that's fine. And I think that, from my professional standpoint, was his take on the whole thing. You're doing something that, let's face it, in this business, that league, Papo, it's a gadget. It's trickery. It's just smoke and mirrors because you can't do the right things to win football games.
As an amateur, and as an amateur, not a professional. Reading the paper, couple days in advance of the Jets game, they were talking about how Tyrod is such a great athlete.
Yeah.
That he's probably the best athlete on the team. And I think all the players surround him and they get behind him. Tyrod's got to get in. We got this guy. We're not playing him.
Yeah, we could do
Let's
something
get in
with
and
him.
do something different. So I think those guys put a little pressure on, and I don't know this. This is an amateur saying this, of course. This isn't any insight. But I think they wanted to get Tyrod on the field somehow. And now, in my opinion of playing 3 sports in college, I feel like Joe may have taken offense to that a little bit and said, wait a minute.
There's
I'm
no
Joe
question he did.
Flacco. I threw the ball 70 yards on a dime. He's
I
not going to
totally
take
agree
my
with you.
And so he goes out, kind of like a little kid, puts his hands in his pockets, and sits there. And 11 plays, right? Wasn't it 11?
12.
12 plays they ran the Wildcat.
A bit too many, but.
Well, yeah, it was a few too many, but it was shaken up. Hey, look, we weren't gaining any yards with Ray Rice or Bernard Pierce running the ball.
And that's my
Well,
point.
they had 2 first downs with it. I mean,
but Tyrod-
total
Tyrod
yards.
got
Total
wild.
yards was like 7 of all the plays, but there was 2 first downs. So you moved the chains. You bought a little possession time. I get it.
It's something the defense has to prepare for.
And of course, because you have that. You have those alerts. Players out of position. A player comes in that shouldn't be, when your quarterback goes out there. I mean, when I sit there as a defensive guy, when I sit there and go, oh my God, thank you so much. Let Joe go over by the sidelines and hang out all day long because that's the man that can beat me. And you're going to put this guy in there? Be my guest. After 1 or 2 times, it's over. You're not, as a defensive unit, you're not thinking about it. It's not a big deal. Okay, maybe a quick screen. He'll draw. He'll do something. So you throw that all out in the huddle, and then you go play football, and you go, the best player on the team that can kill you is standing there with his hands in his pockets. That's my take.
They would have never gone to it if the offense was actually doing something.
I totally agree.
That's right.
It's a
And
no.
that's
That's
what
100%. That's 100% right.
So it's a no-win situation. Didn't work
agree
real
with
well.
John.
I mean, it's it didn't. We didn't see it at all against Pittsburgh. So it's a situation where.
And I'm not saying you won't see it again. I mean, and I agree with Papo. I think he's a fabulous athlete. Yeah. And you know what? You'll always now have to game plan for it. Every team that plays this, we're going to have the number 12 alert or whatever. There's 2. What's his number? 2 or 12? 2. You have that be alert for 2 in the game, and they'll have that whole thing, and you'll work on 5 minutes every day. You'll work on him being a part of the offense.
I got a question. I got a question for Bruce because it's been bugging me all year. Why don't we run more play option plays?
What do you mean playoffs?
Play option, fake it and hit a little screen coming out of the backfield or freeing up Ray Rice in the middle. It seems like we always run. It's predictable. Now, when they brought in the Wildcat, that's not predictable.
No.
But everything else is predictable. Up the middle, he runs into his own wall. Ray Rice or Bernard Pierce, whoever it is, when it's first down, they do 1 or 2 things. He throws a bomb or they run it up the middle. You know what's going to happen.
Steve, I mean, it gets very strange because you have to remember from a defensive perspective, when you're in 2nd and 8+, and John knows this, when you're in 2nd and 8+, and then sometimes 2nd and 11, 2nd and 12, defensively, I'm sitting there telling my guys, play pass, react to run. Just play it as a pass play, which means that all your cheats are in. So if you're a defensive back and you're usually 6 yards, I'm going to go to 7.5. I'm going to put myself in a position to play the play that I think they're going to run. Now, what do? Sure, they can run the ball, and they can screen or they can draw, but that's what you already said. You're already talking about that in the huddle when you get them like that. And the Baltimore Ravens this year, if you do the stats, they are horrible. And even in the Pittsburgh game, horrible on 1st and 10. Yeah. They had 5 1st and 10 plays the first quarter, and they averaged 7 yards. Now, obviously they passed the ball and they no gain or incomplete, but 5 first down plays, 7 yards of total offense. I can play at my age. I can play free safety somewhere if someone does that to me all day long.
You might have doing better than Palomalo there.
Well, I'm telling you, the way the free safeties line up now, I can hang out at 20 yards. No one will see me anyway.
That's right.
And Reno must leave the stadium when he plays back there.
I mean, holy smoly. I'm watching this. Sometimes they're like 20 yards from the ball.
Do you think that changes when Pitta comes back? if he comes back this season. Hopefully he does.
They're definitely the whole concept of Pitta being in that offense, with him being on the line of scrimmage, off the line of scrimmage, changing the strength of formation because of his movement. It's a big plus for the Ravens offense.
You have to try to run the ball, guys, and this
You
is
still do. There's no
It's
question.
a function of not being able to run. So you're constantly in 2nd and 9, or if you try to, if you have you're struggling offense, and then you have negative plays with these penalties and false starts. I mean, it's a situation where, you're going to have to correct these types of things. You're going to have to get some more positive yards on 1st down just to beat these playoff teams, because they're just going to bring
You know what cracks me up, though, and I've seen it around the National Football League, which really, I'll actually watch them run a play-action pass on 2nd and 10. And I go, like, who are you fooling? And if you're actually running it and you're getting someone to bite and do it, I mean, where are their minds?
Unless you're the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, well, I mean,
might be the exception.
man, that could be a totally different thing.
that's the
Because that
exception.
dude is the Minnesota Vikings.
But what I don't understand is, you ask what's the definition of insanity, and it's doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result. Well, how many times have all of us watched on 1st down, Ray Rice goes right into the back of, Michael Orr, right into the back of Yonda. He runs right into the back of him. He goes nowhere. Actually, we get negative yards.
Right.
It goes and we do it
So
over
back
and
to
over.
John Garrett.
I mean,
Can
they're
they're not. See,
this
that's why I
football
argue
team,
with it.
here's the essence, can this football team in the next 4 weeks find a running game? And I don't think they find it. I don't know how they manufacture it, but I don't think they find it with their normal 5-man front trying to run the
they're
football.
losing. You're losing the fight on the 5-man front. That's where you're
Correct.
losing.
Absolutely.
So you can't do it. If you keep losing it, you got to do something different. And if it's a trick play or something, or doing something that's out of the ordinary on 1st down, not running right up the middle. I'd rather see Flacco throw a 60-yard bomb on 1st down.
Wow.
It's a better. At least we don't lose any yards on it.
We tried something different, the Wildcat.
and it wasn't a
quarterback started
failure.
crying.
Well, that's a problem there.
I mean,
that's a problem.
Guys,
there.
we have less than 60 seconds. Look, I like the fact that Joe wants the ball in his hands at all times to make plays. I want my quarterback saying that. Now, I don't like he handled it in the media because he's had plenty of clunkers over his 5+ years as well, and you haven't seen Cam Cameron or John Harbaugh throw him under the bus.
That's
I don't
true.
think he handled it well at all with that. But that said, I think it was an indictment of the run game, much more so than the passing game. But the bottom line, you go to that out of some desperation. And again, when you were facing the #1 rush defense, they had to do something there, and at least it keeps defenses thinking. Guys, we have a lot more to talk about, and we'll do that coming up in the next segment. It is a Ravens Wrap Show on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio, 93.5 The Beach. We're back next.
What's this all about?
We're giving Rich the NFL experience of a goal line dive.
Really?
There's an easier way to get an ultimate NFL fan experience. Just snap the tag wherever Bud Light is sold and you could win. Bud Light in the NFL. Here we go.
Can I make it?
On the internet, yes. Into the end zone, no.
Come see us at Blue Off.
JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.